Hello and welcome to the Final Bell, the official Geelong Cats podcast brought to you by Lake Imaging. It is great to have you with us. I feel like it's deja vu all over again. We've wound the clock back a year. We're back on Zoom and I am staring at Scotty Gullan on a computer screen. Scotty, the COVID chaos is back. What is happening?
Yeah, as we speak, Cameron, we're all on tender hooks. It's a great word. We're hoping, fingers crossed, that we'll have crowds. I mean, games will be played. It's just whether anyone's there watching. I think the next 24 hours, we're talking on Wednesday lunchtime. I think by tomorrow we'll know whether, if it spreads more, obviously I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, so that is all to come out. You're right. And the club has just given us a little note saying they will continue to communicate with affected members, but it's once they know more. They're not going to say anything just yet because they don't know, like a lot of us don't know. But as soon as they do, they will communicate it out to all affected members. We've got a good podcast coming up, though. Brandan Parfitt is going to join us ahead of Sir Doug Nicholls' round. The Cats will be wearing the Indigenous jumper against Collingwood on Saturday afternoon at the MCG, 1:45 p.m, hopefully in front of lots of people, but we will wait and see. We'll get to some of your questions, but Scotty, let's talk straight up with the footy. Let's not focus on the chaos and the COVID and the negative and everything like that. Let's talk about another Cats win, but a Cats win that, well, I was convincing and it was comfortable and it was fine, but it wasn't overly pretty to watch.
No. It was one of those grinding, get the job done, which good teams, and you've played in many of these games, Cameron, where things aren't really humming, but you've got an opponent who's, showing a little bit and pushing bits, who you should beat, and you do enough to get it done. And in the end, there was some few individual highlights that made sure it happened.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the second quarter was interesting. Gold Coast kick a couple of very, very easy shots at goal, and it's not going to change the result of the game, I don't think. Whereas the St Kilda game, I think those misses would have changed the result. These ones wouldn't, but it would have made it a little bit more interesting. But ultimately, the Cats were too strong, too mature. Joel Selwood, the skipper, just does what he played his best game for the year, led the team. They weren't firing, but him and Cam Guthrie.
My man.
Now, hang on, Scotty. You claim every single player in this team whenever they play a good game is
Bradley
your man.
Close, who I see he's not on the rundown, so he's not talking to us again. I've got Sparkle. I've got the Shark. You've got Chuka, who's playing VFL.
Why have you got the Shark?
Oh, I think I found him first. No, he's a tagger, maybe. Anyway, Sparkle, fantastic to see. Came on for basically Cam Guthrie, went off for an extended period.
Yeah,
had 23 in the second half.
Yeah, it was excellent. Excellent. He's one of his best games. We've seen him play a couple of really good games. He was outstanding. Challenge for him, of course, as it's been. This isn't being unfair.
Cameron.
He's to back it up. You got to back it up, Scotland.
But he's a great clearance player.
Yes.
Again, the favourite Damien Hardwick story is let's focus on the good at, not the negative. So
listen, I'm a big advocate for that as well, with a couple of players that I would like a little bit of a look at too. But Knuckle was brilliant, was outstanding. Selwood was superb.
Brilliant.
Tommy Stewart, I thought, continued on his wonderful season, was in the first half in particular one of their absolute best players. And they did enough. You're right, Cam Guthrie's a little worry. We don't have too much more information on that. He came off with that shoulder injury, and when he came back on, he played predominantly forward or a bit more forward and was favouring the shoulder. Yeah. He wasn't comfortable.
No, I don't know what's going to happen, obviously, but given the status of where they are, this team, rest him. Don't take, there's no need to take risks. Collingwood a good team. I'm not saying risk it because they're 16th on the ladder, but there's plenty of guys knocking on the door, as you know. So don't take any risks.
Even though, I just want to put this they will be without Mitch Duncan, the mandatory 12-day concussion.
I understand that.
Would you still hold don't risk Guthrie?
Absolutely. It's a time to test your depth. Just play the kids. Others will step up. We saw that happen. Menengola got lots of kick. There are other senior experienced players who can fill the void. Sparkle did it. They'll find someone else.
And I reckon the man we're going to talk to in
Oh,
a little
yeah.
bit, Brandan Parfitt, will be able to step up into that role beautifully. He's playing good footy. Can I just quickly ask you, sanity prevailed, didn't it, with
Oh,
the Nick Holman tackle on
well,
Mitch Duncan?
Cameron, I actually covered it for the Herald Sun. I sat through 5 hours. Cameron, say that to me. 5 hours.
Tribunal.
Tribunal started at 5 o'clock. Lockie Plowman from Carlton was first. They argued for 2 hours about, I don't even know what. I fell asleep.
Hang on, Lockie Plowman should have got off as well, I believe.
Oh, totally. I think they half stuffed up the defence. I mean, they argued whether it was a marking contest or not. They argued it for about an hour. But the facts are he was going fast at the ball, didn't have time to move. What else could he have done?
Yeah, he body lined the ball, which is what you wanted to do,
Correct.
rather than sticking out a little hand and jumping out of the way.
Anyway, he was stiff. But yeah, and Holman was the last case. It didn't start till like 9 o'clock at night. And
I'm sensing you actually had to do some work, Scotty.
yeah, I was blowing up. They took 20 minutes to figure it out when to me it was quite obvious.
He should never have been up there.
The AFL Council tried to say there was 2 motions, and everyone's in there going, "Where's the second motion?" It was ridiculous. And Michael Christian, we support him, but mate, you make some howlers like that unnecessary.
Well, it comes back again to the point where I've seen throughout this season genuine dangerous tackles, the 2 motion, the dump to the ground, the sling, the arm pin, all those motions, the dangerous actions cleared because the outcome on those occasions, pure luck, was that the player didn't get injured. This one, a genuinely brilliant tackle where, unfortunately, accidentally Mitch Duncan gets injured. Michael Christian pays the suspension for an outcome rather than an action.
Exactly. And
Penalise
I hate
the
that.
action.
Potential for outcome I hate, outcome I hate. It gives hope that football accidents do exist because the AFL is almost trying to eradicate that. They've lost sight that it's a contact sport, split-second decisions. It's madness.
I'm glad that sanity prevailed and Nick Holman will be right to play. Unfortunately, it does mean because of that accident and the footy action, Mitch Duncan will be out. So Duncan out, Guthrie in doubt, and according to your recommendation, do not play. And then they've got the bye after that. So he will have a good break before a Thursday night game against Port Adelaide, leaving a couple of spots open in the lineup, Scotland.
I'd suggest your man, my mail is he had 30-odd again. He probably deserves a look in, doesn't he? Chuka?
Well, I'm...
yes.
No, I'm suggesting yes, except it's... So Joel Selwood's in there, Brandan Parfitt's in there, Quinton Narkle's in there. Those 3 are inside, terrific, hard-working, mid-stoppage clearance players.
Okay.
Mitch Duncan is the neatness, the run, the polish, the good ball use. Cam Guthrie's got it all. Like, replacing Duncan with Constable isn't a like-for-like and probably doesn't give Constable an opportunity.
No, I get that. Maxi Holmes on the wing, he's got the leg speed, he's played well.
Maxi Holmes on the wing, is it?
Who else? Give me options.
Well, I mean, is it Jordan Clark more time?
Oh, of course. My other man. I've got so many of them.
Stop. You can't claim everyone, Scott.
He has to play and has to be told, you are on the wing for the whole game. Go. Play. Run.
And that suits the not fully like-for-like, but the almost like-for-like with Duncan and Clark.
And play Chuka for Guthrie and just have a lot of good clearance. Collingwood aren't exactly fleet-footed. They've got a lot of ball magnets in there as well. So
yeah, true. Taylor Adams, Scotty Pendlebury,
Chris, and that they're not ultra fast. So Chuka can hold his own in that mob.
But the only trouble is if he gets squeezed out of centre clearances and around the stoppages because of Narkle, Parfitt, Selwood, and I don't blame them squeezing him out.
Where do you play him?
Well, that's
where I rewind back early in the year and kick the goal. He showed a little bit.
Yeah. I want him to get a shot. I just want to get him to get a shot in the best circumstances to succeed.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Right back to the start of the year when it was Dangerfield out, that's when I liked the option of, get him as an inside midfielder.
Our campaign lasted a week and a half, and then he was gone.
Hey, Scotland, best players for the VFL. Have a guess who the best player on the ground was?
Chuka.
No, second best Chuka was?
Darcy
Fort. Correct. Best on ground again. I reckon that's the 87th week in a row. Darcy Fort has been best on. Josh Jenkins kicked 6 goals.
No, thank you, Josh. All the best. Asava he was fine. I mean, I'm happy with the ruck setup.
Okay.
But I know what you're saying.
Collingwood aren't majorly tall in attack, so you don't need the blitzers back. So
Correct.
It's working with Sav and Blitz. Agreed. Just saying, he's not just knocking on the door. Darcy Ford has got the old special operations group sledgehammer sort of to the door, kicking it down.
Well, selection pressure is a good thing. We all know that.
It is. And with the run of post by Port Adelaide, probably Scott Lysette, I think he's back. Then the Bulldogs, potentially Steph Martin and Tim English. And then Brisbane, Oscar McInerney. Maybe Darcy Fort gets a run during that little run of games and should do.
All right. He's your man. I agree with that. I'll give him to you.
Do you know who else played very well? Oscar Brownless.
Oh, we're on Oscar watch a bit, aren't we? I like
He's just starting to build some form, and I think fingers crossed because he's a terrific kid. He's hardworking. We all love his dad. I get that, so we're not taking that into account. But he's hardworking. They reckon he's a terrific teammate. Works hard on the wing. Hopefully, he gets an opportunity at some stage this year. Just to have a look at him. He's not necessarily going to lock a spot away, but just to see what he's got.
No, I'm happy with that. I'm a big fan of Bill William.
Okay, excellent. Brandan Parfitt is coming up in just a second. Then we're going to get to some questions as well. Let's just pretend, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Guthrie and Duncan miss.
Yes.
Are we all of a sudden talking about this as a danger game?
Well, Collingwood are going to win eventually. They've been starting games very well, and then they just fall in the biggest hole you've ever seen.
They can't score.
They can't score. They can score early. They kicked 4 goals against Sydney in the first quarter and kicked 1 more or something. Same happened last week. Look good early, and then you just grind them out. I know Port got up by a point, but Collingwood are playing better, and Collingwood historically, as you know, find a way to annoy Geelong a lot. So, yeah, there's trepidation with those 2 injuries, and Collingwood, just the law of averages is they win one of these. That's the issue.
I think they need to be sharp early, pressure early, actually put some pace on it. Collingwood took 138 marks against Port last week.
Yeah.
Astronaut, they just controlled the footy. If Geelong are doing that, it becomes a very slow, low-scoring game.
It'll be 2 goals to 1. It'll be horrible.
And you keep them in the game. With a bit more pace on the game, I reckon they get a little worried. My big question to you, though, Scotty, is does any of this matter? Is it pointless discussing how any team's going because your mighty Western Bulldogs are in such incredible form that nobody's going to get near them?
I was there Saturday night and I sat at the front row of the press box with my little typewriter and I was like, wow. Like it was 2016 all over again. Their ball movement out of stoppages. They just run. They kick the ball so well. The whole setup is humming. I mean, St Kilda were as bad as you're going to ever see, but I think it's over, Cameron. I basically think they're all playing for second. That's correct.
There you have it. Every single team in the competition is playing for second spot, but let's hope the man that we're going to chat to next has something to say about that, Scotland, and a Dogs v Cats grand final might be on the cards. Let's take a break. Brandan Parfitt is going to chat with us. We'll get to your questions a little bit later on. Back in a second. Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on To the Final Bell. We are brought to you by Lake Imaging, and as promised, we do have our next guest coming up. He's popped on. He's taken a break from the NBA basketball that's on right now. We do appreciate it very much. Brandan Parfitt, welcome to the podcast.
G'day, Lingy. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Parfitt, it's great to have you with us here. In very, very good form yourself, and I believe bloke who's sitting just off screen, watching a bit of that NBA, Quentin Narkles there as well. In excellent form. Maybe a bit of a challenge falls to you. I'm going to call you young blokes, but that's only because I'm so old. But that younger portion of the midfield, Mitch Duncan's out with concussion. We don't know at the moment what's happening with Cam Guthrie and that sore shoulder. But it seems like you're relishing the responsibility through the middle of the ground. Is that fair?
Yeah. I guess it gives us more responsibility, more opportunity. I guess all the older guys have, paved the way and showed us, how to go about things, and I've obviously played my role for the last last few years, and it's a good opportunity this week to step up, and I'm sure there's going to be a couple of boys come in who are jumping at our feet. The VFL form has been going pretty well, so I'm not sure who's going to come in, but I'm sure whoever it does is going to perform. So looking forward to it.
Do you reckon we can get a few little whispers off him, Scotty, about who those might be?
Tight-lipped, our man. He's playing the company line. Parf, just quickly, what do you think's changed over the last month or so? The style of footy and everything seems to have really clicked after what was a slow start, which is understandable. But what do you think's clicked?
I'm not too sure. I guess with Jeremy Cameron coming back in,
that helps.
It probably gives us more opportunity to kick it forward and get it in there a little bit quicker. But at the same time, we like to defend, strongly. So we like to let our whole formation catch up, and I guess that's what the fans sort of get frustrated at times with the slow ball movement. But I just think during the live play, we've been trying to get it in as much as possible to get the big blokes involved.
Just to ask that question from the fans' perspective, Parf, around the controlled ball movement, and at times I still think it verges on being slow, but then the other times the controlled ball movement that can quicken up and really threaten like you did against Richmond and West Coast. Where's the balance at the moment? Was the weekend's game against the Suns too slow, or was it about where you thought it should be?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess it's just, having composure and realising where the game's at. At times we probably could have went quicker and we chose to go slower, or vice versa. So it's just about finding that balance and reading what the game gives us, really.
We spoke earlier about COVID. It's all going crazy again. What's happened at the club so far? We're talking on Wednesday. Are you guys just business as normal?
Yeah, well, a day off today. Business as usual. Do nothing at home, watch NBA.
Good. Don't leave the house, Parf.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I think all the news will come out in the coming days what the goal is. Fingers crossed, nothing too serious will come of it.
Well, we're hoping that there'll still be a crowd at the MCG against Collingwood Saturday afternoon, 1:45, and it is a pretty special round, an important round for the entire competition, but for yourself as well. So you'll be hoping there's a pretty massive atmosphere at the MCG on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. Collingwood are a big powerhouse club, and Indigenous round is always fantastic to be a part of. Family love it, and I love being a part of it. Get to run around main jersey. So I just want to put my best foot forward this weekend and wear the jumper with pride. Can
you tell us a little bit about the Indigenous Guernsey that's going to be worn this week by the team?
Yeah, it's a local woman who designed it, and she does a lot for the football club. It's sort of just based around the whole Geelong community and where it was, years ago with the landscape, and she represents her family as well, and the whole sort of Geelong region, and it turned out really, really well. Her name's Karina, so yeah, she's done a fantastic job.
Parf, just for those who don't know, your background, your heritage, what area are you from, what language, etc. are you linked to?
Yeah. So most of my family is from up in Darwin, up in the top end. That's the Larrakia tribe and the Warramungu, which is sort of a little bit south from Darwin. That's my heritage, and I'm really proud to represent, all my family back there, and
Do you get an opportunity to get home much and get to visit that part of Australia and have a look around?
I'm always back Christmas time, and then probably a couple of weeks during the off season. I love going back, and I guess that time of year is just super hot and really humid. So I wouldn't mind going around, this time of year where it's nice and cool and dry seasons. Good fishing time this time of year. So I'll have to wait to post football to go up there around this time.
What do you mean? What, you don't love the perfect Geelong weather that you experience down here in winter? Superb.
Yeah, well, it's starting to grow on me, but I still get homesick when the wind blows. So,
Well, you're not allowed to get homesick too quickly. You're doing a brilliant job in the middle of the ground, isn't he, Scotty?
Oh, he's going very nicely. Parf, the pathways for Indigenous players and everything like that, it's just improved so much, I gather, even in the short time you've been in the competition.
yeah, definitely. We love the game, and it's an Australian rules football, and where I'm from, there's a lot more Aboriginal people, and they love the game, and there's so much more pathways now, and we've had a lot of Aboriginal blokes on the list, and I think there's only 3 now, but last year there was 7, and the year before there was 7 again. So we've had great support for us at the football club, and love all my brothers, really.
As you said, a wonderful history with some of the Indigenous players coming to Geelong. Do you now see yourself, and in the future, as the club goes to drafts and perhaps picks up some of these young players that you're talking about, you see yourself now in that role of really playing the mentor and the person who can guide these young players through the tough early years of their footy career?
A little bit. I'm still learning, and I'd like to think I've grown up a lot and become more of a leader. I'm probably one of the most experienced Indigenous boys at the club now. There's me, Quinton, and Krugs, and we're pretty similar age, and we help each other a lot. I'd like to think so. I got here, and Stephen Motlop was the most experienced guy, and Tim Kelly came along, and Nikara as well. So I'm probably at that position now to take the lead.
Parf, there'll be a lot of best of Indigenous players, teams picked in the next week or so to celebrate it. Give us your top 3 Indigenous players you've seen or played with or watched over your journey. Or favourite.
My favourite player was Surioli. And then, probably Andrew McLeod comes to mind, and then Adam Goods, I think.
Pretty good trio.
Yeah, I think I'll stay with those top 3 for now. But there's obviously a lot to go into it. Obviously, I didn't see Polly Farmer, but he's royalty at this club and royalty in the AFL. So
that's a pretty good top 3, Parf. I can't completely agree with you saying Cyril's favourite, because unfortunately, a few times playing against the Hawks, he always chased me down and threw me to the ground. And
I'm shocked you, Cameron. Can't believe that.
He'd be very lucky to catch up with me, speed for speed there. But I think I appreciated Cyril even more once I finished playing, because I could sit back from afar and go, oh, wow. Whereas on the field, it was just this fear of, I think I'm about to get nailed by Cyril Rioli here.
Yeah, definitely. He was amazing to watch, and that sort of Hawks Geelong rivalry was awesome to watch, and it's good to be a part of now.
Now, in all this uncertainty, obviously this round's the big one, the Sir Doug Nicholls round against Collingwood, but then it's the bye after that. Any plans for bye week?
I'm not too sure with some of the COVID cases going on. I would have liked to head home back to Darwin, but I haven't really made too much plans. I'm sort of just going to wait and see over the next couple of days what I can and can't do. If not, I'm happy to stay around here and go down the Great Ocean Road or do something like that.
Very nice. Is the club going to try anything a little bit different with bye week this week or this year? Sorry.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a bit of a curse, isn't it? I think we just have to get going and get the win. I think Port are obviously a good side over there, so it'll be a hard matchup to go over there and win. But it's something we need to address and move forward from it. Yeah, because it's something that we haven't done.
Curses are there to be broken, Scotty. We know that. So the Cats are going to do that this year. Parf, we better let you go because you got to get back to was it Lakers v Suns?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, get back there and watch that. Thank you so much for your time on the podcast. Good luck this week. Keep up the great form. You're doing a fantastic job.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ling. See ya.
Great to chat with Brandan Parfitt there. Let's take a break. We'll get to your questions in just a second. Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on to the final bell. We are brought to you by Lake Imaging. Big thanks to their support throughout this season. Brandan Parfitt's doing some very good things, Scotty, in the middle of it. He does a lot of the hard work off the ball to help his teammates. Excellent player.
He does such. You're right. I mean, you're forgetting how much of a contested ball magnet in close he is. Like a lot of those Indigenous guys, flashy, but he's got a lot of blue collar about him, and he's a gun.
It's so often to see, 8 tackles from Parfitt, 10 tackles from Parfitt, heap of contested possessions, and then he's still got that nice step. He's still a good ball user. He's putting it all together. He's got a terrific balance in his game. So hopefully he can continue on his way. And he was watching the NBA with, I think, housemate, Quinton Narkle, your man, Sparkle.
My man.
Would you like to claim Joel Selwood and Tom Hawkins as well?
No, well, to be fair, you play with them. It's probably a bit harsh for me to take them.
You don't want like Jeremy Cameron? He's just a bit of an up-and-comer. You can claim him too.
I've never actually spoken to Jeremy, so I'll leave him to you.
I have to introduce you.
Where's Brad? Have you spoken to Brad last week?
Brad is. Hopefully, he's going to come on the show at some stage. He wants to talk with you
him during the week
and tell him that he wants to tell you that you're being completely unfair and unreasonable.
I don't think that's the messaging I'm hearing.
Let's get to your questions. All right. Thank you to all those people who do send them in too. We get heaps every single week. We try to get to as many as we possibly can, but keep them coming. And hopefully we get a bit of time where we can go back to some of the earlier ones and see how they're tracking throughout the season. This one's from Drew Ehrlichs. Which forward lineup would you rather have? Mooney, Pods, Hawkins, or Hawkins, Cameron, Rowan? Scotland, I'll let you have that question because I'm completely biased, of course.
That's very hard. I mean, that earlier combination won premierships. I mean, Pods was there for 11. Hawk won 11 by himself. No, I'd go with your mob, to be fair. I think I need to see more from the current modern-day trio.
What I would say with those combinations, and I love it, brings a smile on my face because I'm happy to reminisce and appreciate those incredible players I played with. Hawkins, we had a young Hawkins who 2011 grand final just took it over, but hadn't fully turned into the incredible beast that he's become over his whole career, nearly 300 games, which is remarkable considering the size of the man and everything. He gets double teamed, triple teamed. Moons was just so hardworking, so selfless, so committed to his team. He brought Pods in, taught him, Pods was incredible for that year or two. Remember, Moons won a grand final with Nathan Ablett as his other forward in 2007. What I would say was Mooney, Pods, Hawkins, what they had at their feet was Chapman, Johnson, Stokes, maybe a Varco popping up there, maybe a Burns popping up, little Gary Ablett Jr. maybe having a little rest there, maybe Bartel in the 11 grand final sliding forward. There was a fairly reasonable group of mid-sized and small forwards floating around their feet.
It's a good call. No, I think, and although I will say the modern forward line may have a bit more leg speed than those three, but other than that, I'll give them the vote.
Well, you know what Moons would say? That's what Stokes and Burns were there for. Chase and tackle you blokes. We're not here to do it.
Love it.
Harry Peoples asks, who had the best collection of boots when you played, Cameron? Best collection. You know who was funny with his boots was Josh Hunt.
Really?
He had a massive stockpile. And he was very particular about which boots he wore, how they sat on his feet, where the tongue was, where the laces were, and everything like that, so he could unleash his weapon of a kick. He had a really particular set of boots.
Nathan Ablett liked borrowing other people's boots.
He borrowed James Kelly's. Yes. And the one time when Nathan Ablett, so he's turned out to training. There's this, and for those of you who have played footy and had your ankles strapped or had any sort of protection done, there's like this, I'd call it almost half an inch, a third of an inch It's called Lucafoam sort of padding, which was sticky stuff on one side, and then this white sort of foamy thing, as I said, about half an inch thick. And often it was used if you copped a really bad corky, you'd put that on and then strap it up. If you wanted to just unload some pressure on an area, you'd use this foamy stuff and stick it on and then strap over the top of it. Nathan Ablett came out to training one day with this Lucafoam stuck onto the top of his footy boots, the outside of them, taped all the way around them, because he said that his feet were sore and he didn't like the way that the ball felt on his feet when he kicked. So he padded the outside of his boots.
He's
So
an
I'm not sure.
inspiration.
Nath was never that particular about his boots. I don't think he minded too much at all. I was always jealous looking on at some of the Gaz Jr. and Selwood and Johnson and these guys. They get lots of little care packages from their sponsors. Plenty of boots.
Flashy, different coloured ones.
Yes.
First off, yeah.
None of them like my rock solid black boots, Scotty. Black boots only.
I respect that.
Frank Rogers asked, and this is a good one, Scotty, because you asked it to Brandan Parfitt earlier. Who are some of your favourite Indigenous players?
Well, Lully Bamblett was one of mine back in the day for the Bulldogs. He did some amazing. I was showing my age there. Lully back. Who else would I say? Oh, Michael Long was pretty. McLeod, he'll struggle not to be in the top couple.
I loved watching. I think I've said this before, so I apologise for repeating. But in the backyard, I played the Cats 99.9% of the time. It was the Cats. It was all about Ablett Senior and Stoneham and Couch and Bairstow and Hocking and all them. That other 0.1% of the time was Nicky Winmar.
Yeah.
Winmar to Lockett. And it was Winmar doing all it. He was incredible to watch.
Yeah. No, there's so many superstars.
Buddy's about to hit 1,000 goals. I mean, there were games I played against him where I thought he was going to kick 1,000 in one game. He was
and can you believe Sean Burgoyne's probably going to play 400 games? I mean,
yes.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah. Good. And playing on Goodsey, that was a mission to try and stop him.
Yeah.
He'd be running along in first gear and I'd be nearly passed out.
I used to love seeing Jeff Farmer at his absolute prime.
Did you?
Jeffrey.
The way that he could just go from standing and just be on top of a pack or someone, and he wasn't that big, and he just go whoop, up, gone.
Love it.
Remarkable player. No, my favourite would probably be Winmar.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, just the favourite childhood memories. Maybe everything's better when you're a kid and you're just a crazy little Cat fan.
I can relate to that.
Little fan. Luke Glenn asks, who is leading Geelong's best and fairest at the moment?
Well, probably Guthrie, you'd think, from Stewart.
Yeah, I think Stewart's been their most consistent, even when they were a bit off in the earlier games. But I think Guthrie's big games have been better.
Guthrie, Stewart, and give me someone else.
Do you know who would be a sneaky chance to be maybe not third, but fourth or fifth would be Isaac Smith?
Oh, yeah. No, he's certainly slotted in. The skipper would have a few votes.
Yeah.
There's the top 4 or 5.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with you. Guthrie from Stewart at the moment. And Jared Fox asks, who do you see playing in the Ruck Long Term beyond this year? So we were talking about Darcy Fort maybe getting a run, but liking the Asava Blitzarves combination. Go beyond this year. Yeah,
Asava's the one they want. And he's progressing perfectly. He's only played, 20, 30 games. So I think he's the ideal citizen to be in that position. And then we'll see who's his backup.
Yeah, I think, and we're both probably privy to little conversations we've each had with Brad Ottens, the ruck coach and the champion for the Cats, who he loves the idea of Asava making that his own, and his competitiveness, the way that he'll grow into the role, what he'll do around the ground, the different weapons that he has, his jump, his desire to get down and dirty and pick up the ball.
Good clearance, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think Asava's the one. I still want to see Darcy Ford. I mean, jokes aside, 6, 7 best on grounds in a row in the VFL, deserves
Solid.
a look and see what he can do. Maybe that doesn't translate to AFL. Who knows? But I think it's still open, that spot. It's still well and truly open, and hopefully Asava makes it his and locks it away and never gives it back. But there's still opportunities.
I like this.
Got to. Yeah, that's it. Well, it takes a while. You got to make that position yours, just with hunger and desperation and commitment to the team. And I think Asava will do exactly that. And let's hope he does. Scotland, we better leave it there. We don't have much more to add other than everybody
Fingers crossed.
Keep tuned to, obviously, the Footy Club will keep feeding out the information once they have it. All affected members around Saturday's game will get notified. Clearly, it'll come out through the media, through the Herald Sun, your newspaper, Scotty, any information around the COVID situation, around crowds for this week and going forward. But fingers crossed, we get to go along and watch the Cats play the Pies Saturday afternoon at the MCG.
Can't wait. Fingers crossed, Cameron.
Very good, Scotland. All right, you go rest up. Go and enjoy the way those doggies are playing at the moment. We will be back again next week. Thanks for your time, Scotty.